We've got a little bit of a battle. This is Paul Wildridge. Is this finally it? Almost banging doors down the Kemmel Straight.
Paul's getting aggressive. He tried to pinch him down. And the 24's in the wall. They're going to wreck and across the line. Who even has it? It is the 24. Turner somehow takes the win.
Andrew Waring boxing in Warling as they go through there. Andrew Waring's going to try and make it around the first turn safely. It's going to be almost 3 wide as they go up the corner. It is 3 wide as they go up towards turn 2.
Great move by Pete Herod, sensing the opportunity there. Great car control by the two drivers, banning wheels. It's not something you normally get away with in an open wheel car, but Pete Herod to the lead, still 3 wide all the way through Druids.
Gives him another shove. Things are getting rough, and now they come together fully as that happens behind them. Suddenly catching up. Here comes Devin Horvath into the mix.
Is he going to try to go the long way here around Bruxelles? I think he is. Almost contact there as that was Beaufil trying to get a little bit wide. Carrying the momentum around the outside is Paul Wildridge. He's going to dive it down into No Name, and he's got the position for now.
10th overall. Whoa, he spun! And Edwards is spun. Can he get it to the line? No, he can't. Bolton snatches it up at the last moment. Taking advantage. It's rare you can see passes through here side by side. Probably not going to end well as they come together and cutting back underneath. 3 wide through this corner. This does not look good. This does not look good. They're still going to manage to hold on to it. And Nick Kuhn around the outside keeps that position.
They're going to try and pincer move him here, going 3 wide into turn 3. Goodness me. 3 wide through the turn. Bradley Holly has to back out of it. No, he goes for a spin and he's around.
He's to the inside and tries to shut the door, but it is way too late as the 7 has nothing for him except to brake extremely late down into Andretti, try to go the long way around to defend, and he might have this one back. Round the outside, Ove Trangrade finds a little bit of grip, but he falls behind. Topi Kortaniemi has a nose ahead, tries to cover up, but the car is back there once again. Trangrade inside of turn 2. The battle carries on the last lap of the race for the lead here in round 6, and out of turn 3, Topi might have it done. No, he gets pinched down. Trangrade back up to the front.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Fournier's second win at California has continued to put him farther out of reach of Byron Daly. But on the AM side, Broomhead's impressive podium broke the tie with Kita and edges him into the points lead. We'll need to keep an eye on Richards, though, as the Eagle Vision driver has yet to finish outside the overall top 10 in every single race he's attended. Will Donington bring him more into the title fight? Well, we'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 7 of the PRL Open Wheel Series, and you'll see it all here live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm DJ Clark, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Donington has had brief moments in the spotlight, but otherwise it has remained mostly a local venue. Let's head over to our track guide to take a closer look.
Welcome to Donington Park. This British track can boast the rare feat of hosting Grand Prix racing since before the advent of the modern F1 Championship. About a half hour northeast of Birmingham, cars and bikes of many types have competed here. There are two layouts that can be driven: the Grand Prix version, which is roughly 2.5 miles, or the National Circuit, which is just under 2 miles. The only difference between them is the addition of the Melbourne and Goddard's hairpins at the end of the lap. This circuit is known for its fast, sweeping bends and difficulty in overtaking. There's also some extremely tricky blind apexes like at McLean's and Coppice. Ironically, one of the most famous and more difficult high-speed turns is called the Old Hairpin. Resembling nothing of its name, it includes a frustrating kinked entry and a very critical cornered exit that leads to a long piece of uphill acceleration. The first turn of Redgate is a popular place for overtakes, but it carries an unusual danger. The pit exit empties right into the racing line, and if stops are expected during the race, it can prompt some treacherous exchanges. While the circuit is most well known for its extremely wet 1993 European Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna blitzed the field for a win, currently the track is mainly used for lower-level open-wheelers and touring car racing. Overwhelmingly popular with British fans, Donington Park has established itself as a pivotal circuit in the UK racing scene.
Well, Adam, this Donington place has hosted Formula One from time to time, so it's no stranger to open-wheel machinery, but how are these Formula 3 cars going to take it?
Well, the Formula 3 cars are going to have a little bit more trouble here than the Formula 1 machines do, and that is mostly because they're running the national circuit tonight. This 10-turn circuit that comes in just under 2 miles, or around 3.15 kilometers. actually cuts out about half a mile of the regular Grand Prix circuit, and also cuts out 2 excellent passing zones. Around here, these F3 cars are going to have a big challenge trying to make a pass. The best places are going to be at the end of the Starsky Straight and the Wheatcroft Straight into Redgate, but both of those come with fast, hard corners at the end of them, which make it so that you really have to be alongside or make a late lunge into the corner and hope that your competitor sees you in order to make that pass. Otherwise, the back half of the course rather is extremely challenging. From Redgate all the way down to the old hairpin, the F3s are going to be right on the edge of their twitchy grip as they dive through there. And then as they sweep through Starsky's Bridge and through McLean's, the compression of McLean's and Coppice is going to make this a very challenging circuit to get right. You're going to see a lot of drivers trying to take advantage of somebody's misfortune coming through Coppice at turn 8 to try and make a pass on Starsky Straight. But if anyone could do it, these drivers can, DJ.
I think you are certainly right about that, and drivers are out on track right now for qualifying, but before we get to the action on the track, we'd like to thank tonight's sponsors. First off, ASR. Our broadcast tonight is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate SimRacers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits on the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills with modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, which is actually really great. You can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out today at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customized simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at simmsa.net.
And finally, the PRL Open Wheel Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, we talked about it at the top, and the championship here, it is well underway, and we've got a couple of them to go through here. First and foremost, it is that Pro Drivers Championship. Alex Fournier, as we said, holding a 26-point lead over Byron Daly there, with Daly's teammate, Raymond Day, only 5 points back from him. 14 points back of that is Rod Clenard, and Julio Palacio sits about 12 points back from Clenard himself. So relatively tight there from second to fifth, but I believe it's even tighter in that AM category.
Yeah, Fournier's gap is 26 points. Take away 20 of those points, you got Broomhead's gap now over to Keisha Kita. This is going to be a very interesting battle because Kita actually is under very close pressure from Christopher Richards as well in the third position, just 1 point back. And then a tie down there for fourth and fifth positions with Brett Barrett and Tyler Scarali as well. So it's a very, very intense battle in the AM standings, and so that's what I'm keeping my eyes on tonight, DJ.
Well, we have one more championship for us to keep our eyes on, and that is the Team Championship, and it's just as close at the top, with Britannia iSports having a 4-point advantage over NinjaTrader Esports Pro. Big gap back then to Atomic Racing, who sits in third, kind of on an island unto themselves, with Viking Hot Rods Racing sitting 75 points back overall, but Delta Sport only 10 points back from them, so we could see a little bit of a battle shaping up there for fourth in the closing stages of this season. But we are getting late in the season, but for any new viewers, Adam, why don't you walk us through what the race details are tonight?
Absolutely. Round 7 of 10 here. 34 laps is going to be for these drivers, an open setup, so feel free to adjust the car to however you like or dislike, depending on your preference. They got a drive-through penalty at 13x, disqualification at 17 incidents, as well as bonus points for pole fastest lap and 3 incidents or less. They also have this open qualifying, which is fairly unique among series out here on iRacing. So here we are with about 5 minutes to go, exactly 5 minutes actually. Alex Fournier currently on pole.
Indeed, Fournier holding the pole by about a 1/10 of a second over Raymond Day, and Stephen Verity very close behind there as well. In fact, from 1st to 16th, it is only about a second separating them. So very, very close across the board there in all aspects, Adam.
Absolutely. The fastest AM leader is Robert Ridgway, right now currently ahead of Julio Palacio, actually, which is interesting. The pro driver Palacio currently sitting with a 58.984 versus Ridgway's 58.966. So Ridgway doing an excellent job right now. Joseph Tebben back there as the second AM driver, currently 8th on the standings. Then we get to our first points driver, which is Takeshi Kita back there in the 9th position.
Yeah, Takeshi, remember, is one of those drivers that we often talk about. He has great race pace, but sometimes it struggles a little bit in qualifying. He is right now the 3rd overall AM driver, as you said, so he'll be one to keep an eye on. This is a good qualifying performance for Takeshi. Could be one to try to move up through the field as the race goes along.
Absolutely, and all these drivers paying attention to the track and the conditions as well. Currently 10:31 virtual standard time for these drivers, so a fairly cool track surface. But as the session advances, that's actually going to get into the heat of the day, depending on whether how our weather is looking. So it's going to be very interesting as well to see whether or not we're going to have very different conditions compared from qualifying into the race situation, DJ.
Yeah, it will indeed. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens. And speaking of those conditions, only 65 degrees out on track with a pretty sizable wind of 12 miles an hour. What's that going to do for these drivers, Adam?
I mean, 20 kilometers an hour of wind is pretty significant, especially for how small and light these F3 machines are. And considering the fact that that's coming out of the southwest, that means we're going to have drivers getting blown to the side. Actually, it's mostly side force on this particular track, but where they're going to get that headwind is into Coppice, so that actually should help them through Coppice, but it's going to make Redgate really hairy as they go from side force on the left to side force on the right as they head down the hill towards the Grainer curves.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple of times in this series, specifically harkening back to Hockenheim, where that crosswind did throw some drivers off. Right on board right now with Kenny Brown in the 23 subatomic racing machine. Kenny is the only driver out on track yet to set a time out here, so he's going to be hoping to get a good one as he makes his way down into that set of chicanes there. Adam, you said this is a good area to overtake potentially.
I mean, it's the best you're going to get. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good area to overtake, but considering it's one of 2 straights, I mean, you could definitely make moves out the rest of the course, but it's so risky to do so. And a lot of drivers who race this track in real life say that the best place to save those passes are for the end of Starkey Straight and into the S's. And so that's why we're seeing Kenny Brown currently trying to set his time as he dives through the old hairpin underneath Starkey's bridge here. And yeah, here he is, Takeshi Kita. Let's see whether he can set a faster time for that 59.131.
Let's see if he's got it. He is going to be about 0.5 of a second off, and it looks like Takeshi's been out there for a number of laps. We often see drivers try to pull in, maybe get some new rubber on the car, so I wonder if Takeshi maybe could have done that, and that could have helped him. I can also report that Raymond Day just had a little bit of an off. That is currently your 2nd place car right now.
So very interesting. As we're closing into the final minute, we're going to have drivers starting to start their final laps here. Remember, they're running about 58, 59 second laps. So starting right now, those drivers who are just crossing the line are starting probably their second to last, if not their last laps.
Yeah, exactly. Joey Tebben there crosses over the line. I don't think he was able to go 3 seconds faster than anybody else on track. That looked like a little bit of a glitch from our timing and scoring tower. But Joey's going to work his way around there through Redgate. He was talking to us before the broadcast, Adam, about just how tricky it is because so many corners around here, high speed, very, very difficult. You've got to be on the absolute limit to get speed.
Absolutely, and that's going to start to affect them when they get into packs as well, because they're going to start losing downforce off at the front of the car. So even though these F3 machines are very light and don't have a huge amount of downforce reinforcement, as Christopher Richards crosses the line, we got Juan Cofre coming across as well, it's definitely going to affect their handling, absolutely. Takeshi Kita, I can report, actually has spun out of his final lap, so his best position is going to be 9th to start this. Stephen Ritters is going to be the next to cross the line.
And this is going to be Steven's last lap. He's currently down in 18th. Let's see if he can do a little bit better here. Doesn't look like it. He's going to do no better than 18th as we watch over. Joey Tebben puts in a good time to come his way up into 5th place. Good lap there for Joseph Tebben, the sometimes GSRC commentator. Brett Barrett decides to pull off into the pits. I'm seeing the 15 crossing over the line. Looks like that's not going to do anything. Here's Juan Cofre. I think Juan had a little bit of an off there, so he's going to call it a day. Here's Michael Cofre. Let's see what the 26 can do.
Absolutely, the 26 coming now through Coppice, trying to get some good speed, try and release the wheel as much as possible onto that back straight. Make sure you have as little slip angle as possible as you exit Coppice, trying to get as much speed as you can. Now hard braking into the S's, and you just sling it through, trying to avoid those sausage curves. And here we come across the line. Let's see whether or not Cofre can set a better time than 58.755. He does. That's going to bump him up into the 15th position in on course.
Well, I actually don't think that lap counted for him. He must have had an off-track out there. Doesn't look like he is counting on my screens. Adam McDonald, though, looks like a bad lap there for him. And that is going to be the end of qualifying out here today. So the grid is set. Let's go ahead and break that down for you. Starting off in pole position, it will be Alex Fournier, followed by Raymond Day. Stephen Verity will line up in 3rd, followed by Michael Cofre in 4th, with Joey Tebben, your highest rated AM driver, in 5th. Robert Ridgway will start to his outside. Byron Daly will be back in 7th, followed by Julio Palacio, with Takeshi Kita in 9th and Christopher Richards in 10th.
Tyler Scarella is going to start off in 11th with Juan Cofre in 12th. We got Nick Horvath and Michael Broomhead going to run up on row 7. We got Roberto Cofre and Matthew Gunderson on row 8. Then we've got James Carter in 17th, Stephen Ritters 18th, and then Owen McLaughlin and then Dave Peterson round out your top 20.
In 21st, it'll be Brett Barrett, followed by James Holland, with Donald Olson to his inside and Adam McDonald to his outside. 25th will be David Hebert, followed by Tyler Gore, and Kenny Brown will bring up the back of the field here. Well, we are getting ready to go racing here. Little bit of a change here, as we're going to have a rolling start out here today. We normally see a standing start out of these Formula 3 machines, but the organizer's throwing a little bit of a curveball at everybody.
Yeah, this is definitely going to change the race, especially because there's going to be a decent portion of the field that will just be exiting the S's before they get the green flag. So this is going to be changing the game quite a bit for these drivers, and it actually might lead to a little bit more chaos into Redgate, DJ, because everyone's going to be trying to speed out of the S's, and it might cause a little bit of a bunch up on the start.
It may indeed, and that could cause a little bit of a kerfluffle, as we are wont to say here on the Global Sim Racing channel, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Waiting for the last couple of drivers to grid up. Joey Tebben and Stephen Ritters, two of the ones I'm seeing. All right, so Adam, we've got a little bit of a change here with that rolling start, but anybody you're going to be looking for on these opening laps?
Well, I'm going to be interested to see how Joey Tebben does up there in the 5th position, ahead of Raymond Day, and then Robert Ridgway in an interesting position as well. So it's going to be very fascinating for these drivers to see how they adjust to this rolling start. I'm sure everyone's pretty nervous about this. I mean, most series are used to rolling starts, DJ, but when you make a change like that last minute, I mean, especially when no one's expecting it, the nerves suddenly jump through, your adrenaline's pumping, people are prone to mistakes.
Indeed, they are. It can be a little bit of a scary proposition as they go along. And as you said, there are going to be some drivers probably in the middle of Roberts as that green flag flies. And remember, the way they do it here is it goes on to the leader once that paced car pulls off the track. So that could certainly change the running order here. But all right, it is Alex Fournier leading the way as he is doing so in the championship. His closest competition back there, Byron Daly, mired down in the field a little bit, down the order here from a couple others. It looks like we are hearing that Stephen Ritters is starting in the pits, and already on it is Alex Fournier. He got on the gas very, very early. That caught out Raymond Day napping. It looks like Stephen Verity is going to be trying to make a move as they cross over the start-finish line, and indeed, that's going to be Verity to the outside trying to take advantage of that napping 77. I don't think he's going to have the move done, but Cofre is going to slide right into the line.
And we've already lost a car. That is Michael Coffray, who spun around through Red Gate. The tires just were not warm enough. And Fournier with that launch off the starting grid. I mean, he's not here to make friends. He's here to win a championship, and he's definitely trying to get that done. But Day under heavy pressure from Faraday right now as they're heading through Starsky's Bridge into McLean.
Indeed they are. Verity just absolutely stalking behind that car, and Stephen Verity has been an on and off member of this series for many, many years. He had a good title run a couple of years ago, and whoa, big wreck there behind. It looks like I'm seeing Horvath and Juan Coffray out, potentially Tyler Scarali as well, and indeed Juan Coffray towing on into the pits as these drivers head around to complete their first lap.
Definitely some high energy, high adrenaline right now as these drivers start snaking through the first lap. Starting to be complete here as we've got another driver who looks like he's having problems. Looks like James Holland might be having an issue. And another spin has happened off of the final corner, recovering just a little bit. I believe that was Takeshi Kita.
It did. It looked like he just goosed the throttle coming out of Robertson, just spun the car around. So plenty of things to check back here on replay. Once everything settles down, we can catch our breath for a moment. There is Kita in the 64 as he is now all the way back in 11th. We're sorry if we jinxed you there, Takeshi, talking about how good a race pace you had. We followed here on one of the Ninja Trader drivers that is stalking behind him. That is Robert Ridgway, that's Joey Tebbin getting under a little bit of attack here from one of the pro drivers in Byron Daly. Was that a slowdown for Tebbin?
Well, Tebbin definitely had some sort of issue, and he's backed off. He had another wreck at the back of the field between Kenny Brown and Michael Coffray. Coffray is going to take to a tow, and Kenny Brown is going to try and get it back on track. But wow, a very crazy opening 2 laps there.
Yeah, I'm going back to look to see what happened to Joey Tebbin. I'm not entirely sure, but out front, it continues to be Alex Fournier. He leads to the tune of about 0.6 of a second. Ball over Raymond Day. Behind him, it's Stephen Verity, about 0.8 of a second behind him. These top 3 starting to space out just a little bit.
Absolutely. And as they're spacing out, we're going to take a look at the replay of what happened to Takeshi Kita, because this has points implications all over it, DJ. Takeshi Kita having his own issue. Only back to 11th position, but here's that replay, and I believe it was right before this, and it was a complete mess back there for those drivers. So here we go, coming through Roberts. Let's find out what happens.
Comes over there, just gooses the throttle a little bit, almost catches it and gets tagged from behind. Now, we'll probably have picked up some rear damage to that car, but I think that tag in the back actually helped him get pointed the straight way.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't his front wing that was getting damaged, so he's going to be feeling a little bit better of that. But up ahead of him, you saw that group of 3 cars. That's Michael Broomhead under pressure from Roberto Coffray and Joey Tebbin. So Michael Broomhead actually right now is third of the AM drivers. Christopher Richards up ahead, but look at this. Joseph Tebbin looking for a move.
He's going to dive it down to the inside there on Redgate, try to hold that line. Coffray behind him trying to carry momentum. He gets a little bit of the grass on the outside of the corner, but I think that's going to be Tebbin able to hold on to the position for now. Indeed, we ride on board right now with Roberto Coffray as they work their way down through the old hairpin and towards Starkey's Bridge. It looks like Tebbin's starting to grow a little bit of distance.
Absolutely, Tebbin trying to grow that distance just a little bit. Roberto Coffray really doesn't have a place to make a move until they exit. Kopp is trying to get into Roberts the next time by, so he's going to have to try and set him up here, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Ritters from the pits is making headway, currently up to 20th position. We've already had 2 drivers DNF, DJ. Michael Coffray and Juan Coffray both have had issues and DNF, but Alex Fournier up at the top of the field, setting fastest lap, not to be outdone though. Stephen Verity sets it next.
He does indeed. As we watch here, this is the 27 under attack right now from the 2. Looked like a little bit of a bump there. I'm not entirely sure what that was. That is Ritters and Holland, but Ritters is going to be comfortably on by as he continues his charge up through the field. As you said, he started from pit lane. Not sure if that was an equipment issue from Steven or if that was just trying to figure out maybe avoid. Oh, yeah, we've had Gunderson off.
Yeah, Matthew Gunderson has taken the old hairpin just a little bit too deep there and gone off on the grass underneath Starsky's Bridge. So he's now recovered, but has fallen behind Brett Barrett.
Yeah, and that was really all because he was in a side-by-side battle with Dave Peterson, and that just forced him out wide. Looks like Byron Daly's able to get up front behind, ahead of Ridgway, but we'll go back and check out this replay.
Yeah, this is Michael Coffray and his particular issue, I believe. No, this is the issue that we just talked about with getting off there at the old hairpin. So fortunately, not too much of an issue, able to get back on track without any damage, and now part of a three-way fight up there for the 8th position.
Yes, it is, and that's going to be a little bit of a poke to the inside there, I think, trying to get in. Scarali tries to hold it, barely able to hold on to the car himself. He's able to keep it pointed in the right way and just tuck up behind right now. That is that battle for 14th right now. Scarali in the 14 and Gunderson up ahead in that dark green machine.
Absolutely. So a very tight battle up there for the 14th position, as well as a battle for the 8th position. And actually, we're going to have a pass, I believe, between Tebben and Broomhead. This is going into Coppice. Not always a very wise place to try and make a pass, but Tebben forced Broomhead to go a little bit wide, so now Broomhead's a little off pace, but look at this, Broomhead drifting to the center of the track. Tebben's going to try and go around the outside as they go into Roberts. That's close stuff. Does Coffray have a move now as he's got the pace coming off of the corner? They're all going to be pretty even here, but Coffray has the three-way draft. Let's see whether or not he decides to make a move. He's going to look to the outside of Tebben as they go towards the opening hairpin through Redgate. Tebben looks to the inside, can't get it done.
Whew, that was a whole lot of action for not a lot of places moving around there, but some good, respectful driving here from Broomhead, Tebben, and Coffray. They are all going to keep on each other here as much as they can. And what's really interesting about this is that this is one of the hot battles for that AM championship. Very, very close here. But I think we are going to jump back to check out that Michael Coffray replay. If we have that spooled up, this is that incident from the beginning of the race, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Coffray DNFs at the beginning of this race, and now we're about to find out why. Taking a look at Coffray here, this is going into Redgate, and I'm pretty sure he just loses it on the brakes here, takes it a little bit too deep into the corner, and got the air taken off of his front wing. The rear tires just come around on him, and he slides off track.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. Just caught a little bit of that dirty air and that lost full aerodynamic grip. What happened?
Adam McDonald's had an issue, and it's a major one.
Ooh, pieces of that car littering the track right now. Ooh, that does not look good for McDonald. Coming through there, there must have been contact with another car.
An unsafe rejoin for McDonald, unfortunately, and he caught out Nick Horvath. So here we go. He's going to come back onto track, and Nick Horvath's going to come in unsighted and absolutely collide with him.
That's just a hard area to get that done in. We watch the replay here on board with Horvath. Yeah, as you said, completely unsighted. Coming up and around. Here it is. He sees that dust, and before he can do anything,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing he could have done, really. He didn't expect the car to try and make that reverse move, but unfortunately for him, that's probably going to end his day. Currently in the pits is Horvath and McDonald. Horvath had to take a tow.
Yes, he did, but we focus back here as this is the battle for P1, Adam. This is really rubber banded back into a close battle. Fournier now only about 0.3 of a second up the road from Raymond Day, and Stephen Verity keeping his pace behind as well.
Yeah, I think Day's a little frustrated with how Fournier started the race and has decided not to let Fournier run away with this one necessarily. So Day definitely putting some pressure on using that long draft that they get down Starkey Straight in Roberts to great effect here and putting some pressure on Fournier. Now, the question is whether or not he's going to try and make this pass anytime soon. My guess is probably not. He's probably going to hang out here in the draft of Fournier for a little bit and try and see whether or not he can pressure Fournier into burning up those tires a little bit during the course of this race. And then Verity just trying to cling to the back of these guys right now, riding on board with him.
Well, now this isn't exactly a course with a lot of long straightaways on it, Adam, but how much can drivers do a little bit of fuel saving around here? Is that something that could be factoring into Day's decision right now?
I mean, I'm sure it can, but I'm not necessarily, with the pace that they're running, I mean, right now, they are running, I mean, to be honest, Alex Fournier's last lap was his best for by a long shot, so we are looking at very, very tight margins for these two drivers, and they're not slowing down at all. They're pushing as hard as they can.
All right, so a little bit in full push mode here as we continue to ride on board with Stephen Verity. There is a little bit of a wider angle of the battles that are taking place. You can also see a similar triplet forming up behind them in the form of Byron Daly, Robert Ridgway, and Julio Palacio battling right now for 4th place. We watch them as they dive their way through Coppice.
Absolutely, and I can report that Kenny Brown, I believe, has hit the incident limit and has done a drive-through penalty. We've had another wreck, Dave Peterson. And this is off at Red Gate, I believe. No, this is at start. This is through Roberts. So I believe this might have been a single incident. Let's see what happened.
I just took a look at it. It looked like it was a little bit of just bad luck all around. That is Takashi Kita right in front of him there. Yeah, that was a pretty big net code, sending both drivers spinning around.
Oh, and that's going to be horrible for Takeshi Kita and his points challenge for the AM Championship, DJ, because that puts him into the pit lane for repairs. This could be disastrous for his points challenge.
It very, very well could. I believe Kita took a toe there, and so that's really, really going to hurt him. We look back here on the 7th place car, the 49 machine of Christopher Richards. He's driving on a little bit in his own, and he is the big rival for Kita in the championship right now. So I think Kita's going to be relatively happy here that he's not winning outright, but he is 2nd in that AM category, and that'll be a big points all over Takeshi.
Yeah, and Christopher Richards is only 1 point back of Kita in the points championship, so that's going to be very challenging. Here is our AM points leader, Michael Broomhead, currently 6 points ahead entering this race. Broomhead, however, is back in the 8th position behind Richards, so Richards would pass Kita and gain, I believe, would gain 3 points on Broomhead if they finished as it were, so it would be a 4-point gap in Broomhead's favor going into the next race if they finished as they are now.
Oh, we've got a battle here between Daly and Ridgway. This is really starting to shape up right now. They are side by side, 3 wide, coming down the main straightaway. That is Ridgway, Palacio, and Daly. That's going to be Ridgway ahead, Palacio down on the outside. Daly trying to hold on to that inside line. He's going to be able to hold it. Can he get anything on the outside of Coppice? It doesn't look like it as they go through Hollywood. They're back in the single file order, but Robert Ridgway has been able to move his way past Byron Daly.
It's very interesting because Daly actually passed Ridgway at about lap 4 or 5 at this race, rather. And so this is Ridgway making his way by again. And this is just in the differences in how each of these folks are. Oh, Daly! Oh my goodness, that was a huge twitch going through McLean's, and he manages to keep it off the wall.
I don't know how he did that, Adam, but yeah, that was just a massive, massive snap oversteer moment from Byron Daly. Let's go back and check out this replay on board.
This is absolutely terrifying stuff for Byron Daly. He's right in there, tucked in behind Richards. And here we go, Ridgway rather. And here we go, he's gonna dive it into McLean's, and the car's just gonna walk out for him. Look at that, the rear end tries to come around. I don't know how he saved that.
I don't know either. That is an incredible feat of foot and hand control there for Byron Daly. So massive kudos there to the Ninja Trader Esports driver.
I want to go check out P1 though. Fournier and Day have absolutely gapped Verde, and this has to do with traffic. They're starting to run into traffic of the slower cars in this race right now, and that's absolutely separated Verde from these 2 drivers. I thought for a moment Day was going to have an opportunity with a bear that they just went by, but Fournier and Day now going in to Roberts one more time. They're going to come out onto the Wheatcroft straight, and Fournier doing a great job to try and hold off Day, diving it to the inside, which becomes the outside into Redgate, trying to break that draft.
And I can report, I was just checking out Stephen Verity. He had a huge moment coming through Coppice. Car got very, very sideways, but he was able to keep it going. And so now he is a whopping 0.4 of a second back of this leading duo.
Yeah, so Day definitely still putting the pressure on. We're starting to see the rear end get very light for all these drivers. And we had another spin that looks like it's that's Tyler Scarali who's had an issue through Roberts as well. He's gotten back going, but that was a close moment for them.
It was indeed. Roberts really proving to be the tricky point. Ooh, there's Steven Ritters trying to make a move on Tyler Gore as they go down into Redgate right now. That's going to be Ritters on the inside, just forces his way by. The car will continue to have the preferred line through Hollywood and indeed move Steven Ritters up one more spot.
Absolutely. So Steven Ritters making his best effort to try and get those positions back from starting in the pit lane. It just was not comfortable with the rolling start, and I don't blame him. We've had another pass here. Byron Daly's made it ahead of Christopher Richards, trying to recover from his particular incident that he had, that massive catch that we saw out of McLean's.
Let's go back and check out this replay. This was just a sheer force of will maneuver by Byron Daly. Gets tucked up behind in the draft, coming out of Coppice, and just powers on through Roberts. Here he is on Starkey's straight. You can see a little bit more speed from that black and red machine. He's going to poke his nose to the inside right here. There he goes. Later on the brakes and through the corner, move Byron Daly up into 6th.
Great move there from Daly to try and get that move done, and just like that, most of our battles have calmed down at this point. Alex Fournier up in the front of the field with Raymond Day in second. Verde has absolutely fallen like a rock, DJ. Lost 2 seconds in the last 2 laps to our 2 leaders.
Yeah, indeed. He's about 4.5 seconds back of Alex Fournier right now. I think that car is just not exactly performing the way he would like it to, and he's doing everything he can to keep it under him. Now, Adam, with track temperatures only about 66 degrees out here, I wouldn't necessarily think that we'd be looking at tire changes when these drivers decide to come into pit lane, but maybe with as much slippage as we're seeing, is that something they may want to try?
It's definitely something they need to think about for sure. That being said, the penalty to the pit stop is about 3 to 4 seconds, so I'm not sure whether it's going to be worth it on track, especially with how short these laps are. But as we talked about in the pre-race show during qualifying, those the wind is actually really causing these drivers more instability than I think that they were expecting, especially with the changing fuel loads. I mean, these cars get extremely light. You see that 20 kilometer per hour wind right there as we're taking a look at the battle for the lead between Fournier and Day. That is absolutely affecting these drivers.
Yeah, and we just saw it a little affect one of them out of the corner of our eye. That was Kenny Brown, who went off into the grass as the leaders streaked on by. There is Kenny that you can see coming around right now. That's Verity coming up behind him. Yeah, this is very reminiscent, Adam, to the Hockenheim race we saw earlier this year with a lot. Oh, we've got a problem here with Joey Tebben, the number 60, driving slowly.
Yeah, and this could be some suspension damage, I believe. So this actually happened through Roberts once again. He just missed his turning point a little bit, ends up getting the back end loose, and here we see it. 1 curb, 2nd curb, and then absolutely spins out. That's not going to be a great day for him.
No, it's not. And as you said, coming in backwards like that over those big sausage curbs definitely could be looking at some suspension damage. We'll have to try to figure out if that is the case for Joey Tebben. He currently rides around in 10th place position right now. So we jump back here to this battle. This is Ritters now. The next on his agenda, well, that's Matthew Gunderson.
Absolutely. So Gunderson and Ritters battling with one another right now. Remember, Ritters started in the pit lane, so doing a great job, has climbed his way up a whopping, I believe that's 14 positions. That was a massive gain for Ritters having started in the pits. So Ritters definitely putting some pressure on Gunderson at this point, and is not very far off of his class leader, to be honest with you. He's only about 30 seconds off.
Well, if he keeps putting in some good laps, he may be all right. By the way, here he goes. He's going to take a look to the outside here on Gunderson. That's going to be a tough move, but goes for the crossover. There, he's looking down to the inside. Can he have a little bit more momentum going into Hollywood? There's not a whole lot of braking for this corner, but he's still going to try it out. Now we climb down through Craner curves. It's not going to be enough quite yet for Steven Ritters.
Not quite yet. Couldn't quite get the overspeed around the outside of the Craner curves. Sometimes he can make a pass through the old hairpin, but it's so challenging for these drivers. So now as we dive towards McLean's to see whether or not Gunderson misses his braking point, he's going to go a little bit off track, and there's Ritters through right before they get to Coppice.
And indeed, that is going to be Steven Ritters up into the 12th place position. Next car on his buffet table, that's going to be Brett Barrett, who is about 8 seconds up the road. Ooh, this Gunderson looks like he's fighting back a little bit here.
Tries to late break Ritters through Roberts, but decides that that is not worth turning in on, so allows Ritters to go through. We've had a wreck! Oh no, it's Raymond Day! And Raymond Day with some major damage!
Oh no, Adam. He just looked like that car stepped out on him. He got a little bit out into the grass, and that sends him around. Let's watch this. This is coming down through Starkey's, I believe.
This is tightness, actually. He's tight through McLean's. So, sorry, yeah, he makes it through McLean's. It just tightens up on him. It steps out as he gets out of that camber, and then it just comes around on him when he gets into the dirt. Unfortunately, that's him into the pits with a toe.
Oh, there goes a good day gone for Raymond Day, the number 77 Ninja Trader Esports machine, having to take a toe there. That is a big, big heartbreak, but it is a huge sigh of relief for your leader, Alex Fournier, who now has a 5-second gap over his closest rival, Stephen Verity, in P2.
Just really tough luck for him. Really tough luck for the pro drivers, all of whom we're really hoping that someone could put a challenge to Fournier, but Fournier's consistency just keeps absolutely beating them down and beating their hopes down as they continue to try and battle him over the course of this season.
Indeed, Fournier just being the one who is making fewer mistakes, and that is being what is winning his race around here.
We're going to head back and take a look right now at Robert Ridgway. Currently, I believe Ridgway is our AM leader right now. We're also looking at Christopher Richards, who currently sits in the 6th position on track. Oh, Byron Daly's gone off. What on earth?
It looks like Daly just had a little bit of an excursion there. He got wide coming through Red Gate, caught the outside of the corner, and then just kind of had to take a little detour around to get back out on track. So here he comes, lining down into the corner. You talked about it, very similar to what happened to his teammate here. The car just gets a little bit tight, pushes out to the outside, and catches that grass.
Absolutely, and we're actually starting to see our pit stops start to happen as well while we're taking a look at this replay. Matthew Gunderson and Tyler Gore have both come into the pits for regular service for these two drivers. Gunderson's already out, Tyler Gore exiting as well. We also have a couple of other drivers who are coming into the pits and heading out as well. So pit stop cycles starting to happen here as we have crossed the halfway point. Well, not quite to the halfway point of the race, actually.
Yeah, indeed. So we will see as they continue to play out. We may be hovering around that halfway point, but we are at least in what we anticipate being the pit window here. So Gunderson, right now, your highest driver to take that pit stop. He currently has a gap of about 4 seconds over Tyler Gore behind him. He'll be able to run in a little bit of clean air here, and I think around a track like this, that's going to be a big boon to that number 533 machine.
Yeah, absolutely, DJ. And all eyes are going to be on Gunderson because he is the highest driver who has taken that pit stop so far. As we take a look back at yet another battle going on. Oh, Ridgway is coming into the pits now.
Yes, he is indeed getting out of that hornet's nest he was involved with and just coming on in.
Let's see whether or not he takes tires. I know that Gunderson didn't. And, oh, did he miss his box? Just a little bit, I believe. So this could be a longer stop for him. But Ridgway not taking tires and now off and away. 7.5 seconds in the box. I believe he missed it a little bit. So he lost about a second and a half in the box right there. So he's out again. Roberto Curafre also into the pits as well. 7.1 seconds in the box.
All right, so those are the stops that are looking like they're on the longer side. What we saw out of Gunderson and Gore was about a 6-second average. So we'll have to keep an eye as more drivers come in and out of their pit stall over the course of the rest of this race. We follow here the number 10. That is Coffre, who is back out on track.
Absolutely. So the number 10 car back out on track, Roberto Coffre. Now it's Robert Ridgway who is our fastest pitter at this point, 7.5 seconds in the 8th position. So eyes on him to see what kind of lap times he starts putting in for these drivers.
And it looks like we have Byron Daly and Joey Tebben both diving down into pit lane. These two are within about a half second of each other, and they're going to come to stop in the box. Looks like Daly's nice and clean, and Tebben is as well. There goes Byron Daly out. Tebben gets a little bit of wheel spin. I think that's going to cost him ever so slightly coming out of the pits.
And Byron Daly had one of the wildest pit entries I have seen in a long time. As we watched Joey Tebben exit out onto the track, I would love to see a replay of Daly's entry onto the pit lane because that was airy. as our leader, Alex Fournier's in.
All right, so we'll back this up here. Let's watch on board. It's a relatively tricky pit entry here, kind of reminiscent of some of the old school style circuits, which would make sense considering this is an old school style circuit. Just a dash in off the pit straight. So here he goes through Roberts, comes on in, commits, and down onto the binders. How he didn't pick up a speeding penalty, I will never know.
And how he didn't spin the thing around, I'll never know either. But Fournier is out of the pit stops with a 5.3 second stop. Not to be outdone, Michael Broomhead, 5.0 seconds, our fastest pitter yet.
And it looks like we are having Steven Ritters coming in as well. So that pretty much rounds out everyone with the exception of David A. Bear, the only driver to have not yet come down pit lane.
All right, so as the positions start to even themselves out, Fournier continues with that massive lead over Verde above 7 seconds. So definitely gained some time in the pit stops. That second shorter on pit lane gained him that second on track. So it definitely equals out for Fournier, and his consistency really starting to show here. But once again, taking a look back at yet another one of our Fury Racing drivers. Let's see how this driver, this is Ritters actually that we're taking a look at.
Yeah, and he has Raymond Day directly in front of him. Day is a lap down. Remember, he suffered that incident earlier, got a little bit wide, and had to pit coming off of McLean's. So he will be lap traffic. Ritter's next driver that he actually has to attack, well, that's Brett Barrett, and he is about 4 seconds up the road from him. So if he's able to do that, though, that will be 10th place for Steven Ritters. And remember, that is the drive that started from the pit lane.
Yeah, so Steven Ritter's in a really good position to make as much of this as he possibly can. I mean, like, starting from the pit lane is a real challenge, but it can also be really fun if you ever want to try that out in any of the iRacing races as well. So definitely David Hebert coming back into the pits. Oh no, this was this is his first pit stop. That's right, DJ.
Yeah, indeed, and he was a lap down, so I think he had a little bit more leeway there in terms of that timing. As there we see Hebert coming back out onto the track. One of the closest battles we have right now, well, that's an AM battle. The final 2 steps on the podium. Michael Broomhead in the number 5 machine, currently running 6th, and that is Christopher Richards ahead of him. You can see Richards being a little bit defensive there on the Wheatcroft straight, trying to break that toe of Broomhead. Broomhead trying to close in. He's been able to pull that gap down to under a second.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just giving Broomhead the satisfaction of knowing that you're starting to put pressure on, that he's starting to put pressure on him. As Takeshi Kita comes back into the pits, so not a great day for Takeshi. But look at Broomhead. Look at the speed he's got on Richards. He gained that second back. It just, oh, he goes a little bit wide. Oh boy, that was close. But he's back on it, and he's got the speed on Richards over most of the front end of the course. It seems like McLean's and Coppa's giving him a little bit of trouble right now.
Yeah, just a little bit loose there, but he has got a lot of speed, as you said, over Richards, and we've been lucky enough to be able to cover Michael Broomhead in a number of series here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Broomhead is a very, very cool and collected driver. He's had a couple of errors at the starts over the years, but once he gets up and going into the race itself, he is always one to watch out for. That purple machine always seeming to be correct.
Absolutely, so he continues smoking it down towards Richards. He's going to try and put pressure on him as they go through the old hairpin towards Starkey's Bridge. Underneath the bridge they go, taking a little bit of a cut through that corner. That's going to possibly give him an incident point. Remember, they have to be careful here. It's a drive-through at 13 incidents. Looking to back off there. I believe he got a cut course penalty, DJ.
Yeah, he may have gotten a little bit of one, and I do just have to say on a personal note, I do love that little barge board addition. We found him. He's right there.
Okay. Little update on the drivers who are in the pits for repairs or out of this race. Kenny Brown currently in the pits for 6 minutes with some damage getting repaired himself. Dave Peterson has decided to step out of the car and not return. Tyler Scaralli has been in the pits for about 15 minutes. Nick Horvath out of the race himself. Owen McLaughlin in for 27 minutes, so he's been in there pretty much this entire race. And then Michael Coffre and Juan Coffre also out. And Roberto Coffre back in the pits, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is for Roberto. Maybe there's some damage to that car. He may have... okay, so he looks like he is getting some damage repaired potentially, as that is not a penalty of some kind. Yeah, you mentioned that 13 incident limit around here. Pretty easy to pick up. While this is an old school circuit and it does punish your mistakes, there are areas that you can just toe over that line a little bit and pick up that nefarious 1X.
Absolutely, and those definitely rack up over the course of a race, especially with how tight the confines of this track are. But that being said, most drivers usually end up in the wall when they get off track, so a lot of these F3 drivers definitely thankful for the extra downforce they have to keep themselves out of trouble. But we have seen the dirt on the exits of this classic club course bite some of these drivers.
Well, you can see it right there as well, just what happens sometimes. That was going through Coppice when you've had a couple of drivers come off, that dirt does get kicked back up onto the track, and drivers have to be very careful of that, not to make a mistake and find themselves running into the dirt and the marbles that are kicked up over. We follow right now our leader, Alex Fournier, has been able to lead this race since the beginning of a very, very good jump from the start of the field.
Absolutely. Fournier just on a very dominant race at the moment. And Kenny Brown's had another issue. He's currently trying to recover. He had an unsafe release last time around, is able to get back onto track. This is between McLean's and Coppice. So Brown getting back going, but as I was saying about Fournier, his consistency just doing an excellent job right now. I'm going to take a look at Kenny Brown's incident here.
All right, so diving it down. Woo! Woo!
That smacks to me of a driver who is not comfortable with his setup at the moment.
No, that is a very, very loose setup. That rear end just wanting to give way on him, snap oversteer like that. But let's jump you back up here. Broomhead, he has caught Christopher Richards, and the game is on.
Yeah, finally got himself recovered from that speeding penalty, got the tires a little bit cooled down now. Now he's got his time to be able to pressure Richards. He's going to let Richards hang out there on the inside, make him have to scrub off a little bit of that speed. Broomhead still trying to cool those tires down, I think, from those scary moments and that little bit of off track, but now he's going to chase him over to the outside, the inside right here, but it becomes the outside through Redgate. Going to follow him in that draft. Going to break a little bit later, stick his nose out into the air, allow it to turn in. Oh, Richards off track. This is going to hand it over to Broomhead easily.
It is indeed going down through Hollywood. That is Michael Broomhead on and up into 5th place. He is able to get ahead and get a good margin going. Now his only downside here is that he has 12 seconds to make up the road for Robert Ridgway for the win in the AM class here. But doesn't look like Richards is going away quite quietly.
Roberto Coffre has decided to call it a night after spending having about 4 pit stops this race. So unfortunately, he will be our 8th driver to disqualify from this race. Sorry, our 7th driver to disqualify from this race. But Richards is really keeping the pressure on to Broomhead. See whether now he can make Broomhead to make a mistake, just as Broomhead made him make a mistake. The answer is yes. Through Roberts, he clips a little bit of that outside sausage curve, and here comes Richards through. Broomhead, let's see whether he dives it late into Redgate. Tries to, but Christopher Richards able to turn in here, but he gets a little bit off speed off of the exit. He's going to move to the middle of the track. Broomhead nowhere to go.
That was good defense there from Richards, just trying to hold Broomhead at bay. Now as they work their way through the Craner curves and up into the old hairpin, Broomhead drops back a little bit. Both drivers going there off onto the dirt. They cross under Starkey's Bridge, going through Swan's Curve. And here we come into McLean's. Broomhead knows what's facing him. A little bit of lapped cars ahead. Broomhead maybe hoping to use that as a little bit of a pick. Here they come, getting on faster and faster. They've got to be careful, though. Byron Daly is only about a second behind them, and he's gaining the whole time.
So that's Adam McDonald who's moved over, and he's going to let this battle go. I think Broomhead backed off a little bit because he didn't want to get caught out by McDonald. Broomhead very late on the brakes. Andrew Roberts able to get it through there, very much putting pressure on, and here comes Daly.
Indeed, he's going to be coming on the fastest he can, but it looks like he didn't get the best exit there coming out of Richards. And indeed, now it's going to be Broomhead that's going to still trying to be on the attack. That is Richards holding him off for now. Better line through the end of Redgate and through Hollywood.
Absolutely, we're under 10 laps to go in this race for all the drivers involved. Riding on board with Daly, the pro driver Byron Daly trying to recover from an earlier spin, trying to claw his way back up through the field as he watches the battle between Broomhead and Richards in his front, I was going to say front view mirror, but through his visor.
Well, right now, what he is just hoping for is that these two drivers are going to tangle a little bit, not even in a bad way, but that they'll just start taking it wheel to wheel, and that will slow them both down. Better run there out of Coppice for Broomhead. Is he going to poke his nose to the inside coming into Roberts? He looks like he is. He acts like he is. Later on the brakes is Broomhead. That's going to sail him on through. He's able to get the second apex and start to pull away, and that is now allowed for Byron Daly to be right up behind Christopher Richards.
Exactly, that's the tangling, that's the getting together that you were talking about, TJ. They just got side by side through one of the faster portions of the track. Well, that switch back there for Roberts, and now Byron Daly right onto the back of the two of them. This is now a three-way fight for the 5th position, trying to get top 5. Are all of these drivers? Look at the speed of Richards down the hill, now into Old Hairpin they go. Byron Daly trying to maintain that speed, trying to look around the outside of Starkey's Bridge.
He's thinking about it. He's not going to be able to get it done there. You've got to be very, very aggressive. They now work their way up into the hill and through McLean's. That is going to be Daly trying to carry that momentum. Broomhead's got a hair of breathing room as they come down now through Coppice. This is that crucial corner. Let's see who can get the speed off the corner better. It looks like Broomhead's got a good run to get away, and it looks like behind him, Daly may be able to have a move if that lap car doesn't cause too much of a problem. Daly thinks about a move, but decides better of it. They'll stay single file going through Roberts.
Riding on board that gearbox of Broomhead as we look back at Richards and Daly. Daly definitely benefiting from that double draft that he's getting from Richards and Broomhead up ahead. You can see just how effective that draft is as they were going down Starkey Straight, but into Redgate, Richards and Daly both losing a little bit of the front end as the front downforce just not working quite as effectively tucked in behind Broomhead. But now they dive through the Old Hairpin one more time. Look at the speed of Byron Daly. He's going to look to the outside of Richards as they go around the outside of Starkey's Bridge into McLean's. Can Daly hold it? Will Richards push him forward? Richards tries to send it deep. He sends it too deep and goes off track.
Oh, and that's exactly what Byron Daly was trying to set up through that entire move. He knew he couldn't get it done outright, but he knew if he got Christopher Richards just a little bit offline, he could make it work. We go back and check out this replay, Adam. This was simultaneously gutsy and thoughtful moves here by Daly.
Absolutely. Richards, he knew that he was going to make Richards either give him the position or send it too deep into the corner. And so Daly just sticks his nose up the inside, forces Richards to try and push. And Richards actually taking to the pits after that incident. He hit the 13 incident limit.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Rubbing salt into the wounds there for Christopher Richards. He's got to slowly crawl down pit lane, waiting behind. It looks like Brett Barrett may just get by him, and indeed he does. That's the 32 just on by.
So Richards from one battle to yet another, but going back quite a few positions, back down to 9th position. Now going to be battling Brett Barrett for the 8th spot.
All right, so we're going to have chameleon eyes here because I'm watching that one and I'm watching the battle between Daly and Broomhead, but we'll keep our eyes here for now. Richards trying to close in on Brett Barrett the best that he can. That's a lapped car behind him, so nothing to worry about that, but we've got to go to that battle for P5. That's a bad exit off of Roberts for Broomhead. Here comes Daly.
Broomhead took it way too deep into Roberts. It just hit the outside of the tire against those sausage curves, and that was Daly straight through. But Daly looking very loose now in clean air, unfortunately. So we're going to take a look at this replay. Broomhead almost had a much bigger incident than this.
Yeah, he really did there, Adam. Here comes Daly, as you said, kinks to the inside and basically just lets Broomhead make his own mistake. You can see that brake disc locking up there in front, and Daly says, "Thank you very much. I will take that position."
And Daly passing two of the AM drivers through sheer force of will alone. The man didn't even make the moves. He let the moves be made ahead of him through mistakes. And that is just, I mean, when you have that sort of intimidation factor, it's really hard to not be able to make those passes.
Exactly, Adam. And how many times have we talked about it? It is that mental game here that not a lot of people understand. When you just look in at a race, you say, oh, well, you're just turning the wheel this way and that. You have to be so millimeter perfect when you're driving any sort of car around here in the iRacing simulator. And if you can just fill that rear view mirror with your own machine or the driver in front of you, that driver in the front will start looking behind rather than looking ahead. And that is a one-way ticket to making a mistake like that. Driver who hasn't made a mistake out here today, well, that is Alex Fournier in that 116 machine. He crosses over the line right now to take 2 laps to go here at Donington.
Absolutely penultimate lap for our leader, Fournier, who's been absolutely spotless today out there. Lost about 2 seconds to Verade, but might be starting to just feed that back to Verade just to keep himself safe and not have to push too much. But Fournier just absolutely on fire today. I mean, this is going to extend his points lead even further. Definitely going to take fastest lap. He's already got pole. I mean, there's not much more he could ask for today.
Actually, Adam, if I'm looking at my live timing and scoring right, he's not going to get that bonus point for fastest lap, as that right now belongs to the second place Stephen Verity. He was able to put in a 58.7, whereas Fournier's best lap is a 58.9.
Yeah, and that the 58.7 happened just a couple laps ago, so he's definitely going faster, but it might be too little too late. Now, that being said, Fournier's previous lap, Fournier's laps have actually been quite slow, so as Fournier starts the final lap of this race, Verade still 5.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, 5.5 seconds behind. I think the only real concern here that Fournier would have at this point would be some lap traffic and maybe a little bit of fuel problems, but we don't want to say any of that. All fans of Fournier, please knock on every piece of wood that you have right now. Just a couple more corners to go here for the driver of that Navy 116 machine. Bringing it around here through McLean's, and now he's going to come down into Coppice, bringing it around, taking on to the straightaway for one last time. That is him. Nice and straight. They continue to go along. Alex Fournier, 2 corners left, goes through Roberts. Here he is, your winner and still championship leader here in the PRL Formula 3 Series is Alex Fournier.
Such a commanding race from Fournier for sure. Verade is going to be able to come home as he goes through Roberts to come home in the second position, and Julio Palacio as well in third. A great race for Julio as well. And Robert Ridgway, I mean, props to him, finishing 4th position on the day. The AM driver, I mean, that is a win in and of itself today.
It is indeed. Byron Daly's going to be able to round out your top 5. Michael Broomhead, who just clawed his way forward, did a great job there today. Joseph Tebben able to pull in a top 10, 2 down from his starting position, but still a good run there for the sometimes GSRC commentator. Was happy to see him in the top 10. Behind them, Brett Barrett was able to hold off Christopher Richards. It looks like Richards had a little bit of a bobble on the last lap and denied us what could have been a pretty interesting battle there. But really, Adam, the big story here today has got to be that man, Alex Fournier, just a commanding drive from flag to flag.
Absolutely under pressure for the first half of the race, but was able to hold it off, just did not blanch at all, while the drivers behind him struggled with the mental game today, and Fournier just cold as ice straight through the race all the way from flag to flag. What an impressive drive.
It was impressive indeed, and we will talk to Alex Fournier, your winner, as well as the rest of the podium here shortly, as well as bringing you the unofficial race results. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Donington, as we have been witness to a fantastic race here in the Precision Racing League's Formula 3 Series. It was Alex Fournier taking a commanding victory, pretty much flag to flag out there, with Stephen Verity and Julio Palacio rounding out the podium behind him. Your AM winner and in fourth place was Robert Ridgway, with Byron Daly recovering a little bit after some first lap bobbles to come home in fifth. Michael Broomhead also recovering a little bit to come home in sixth. Joey Tebbin putting in a good race to come home seventh, followed by Brett Barrett and Christopher Richards, with Steven Ritters, who started the race in pit lane, made it up to that top 10. Behind him, it was Matthew Gunderson and Tyler Gore, followed by James Carter and James Holland. Donald Olson was in 15th. These drivers were all a lap down, followed by Raymond Day, who found himself hoisting the wrong way on lap 1. David Hebert was the first car 2 laps down, with Takeshi Kita 3 laps down, and from here on out, McDonald, Coffray, and the rest of the field pretty much DNFs here. Kenny Brown, Dave Peterson, Scaraldi, Horvath, McLaughlin, Coffray unable to see the running out here today. But first and foremost, we want to talk to our AM winner out here today, and that is Robert Ridgway. Robert, you definitely had to fight a little bit for this one, but it looked like a real fun race, if nothing else.
Oh, it was definitely fun early on. I was sandwiched between Daly and Palacio, and then I'm looking at Richards on my relative going like, should I let these guys go, or is Richards going to catch me? I don't know. So I just kept racing.
Well, coming to a track like Donington, especially the national circuit like this, where passing is really kind of at a premium, how do you approach going into that race? Do you try to focus a little bit more on consistency, or are you focusing a little bit more on looking for opportunity whenever it presents itself?
Just experience from official races makes you teaches you to be a gentleman a little bit. You're like, I'll get you on the straight, or I'll get you through this one later. There's no way I'm gonna pull something off. I crashed too many times going through that last little curve on the officials.
All right, good to know, Robert. But we turn our eyes next week to a track that probably is going to have a little bit easier of a place to overtake. We're going to Spa. How do you think that's going to go for you?
Battle of the downforces. It's going to be interesting.
I think interesting is a word doing a lot in that sentence there. But Robert, anybody you want to thank for the SAM victory here today?
Oh yeah, I got to thank the whole team. You know, you got Keita, Carter, Tevin, Brown, everybody involved. And then, you know, family and everybody else. This has been a good one. It's a good week to get a little dub in.
Well, I love it, Robert. That was Robert Widgway, your winner in the AM class. And now we are also fortunate enough to be joined by Stephen Verity, who came home in second. Stephen, I got to ask you, it looked like you were able to keep up there to the leading duo for a little while and then just kind of fell back, I assumed because of traffic or what was going on there?
Hey guys. Yeah, I fell back due to just a mistake, just like a lapse in paying attention, following Ray really closely. I was just late on the brakes into the final chicane and I hit the sausage curb. And then I spent like the next 5 laps feeling sorry for myself because I was pretty sure I had floor damage. And then I was able to get the car back down into the 58s again. So I realized I didn't actually have damage and was able to push on.
Gotcha. Well, when you have an incident like that, obviously you said you spent about 5 laps feeling sorry for yourself, but how do you sort of recover from that? How do you go through the paces of trying to get the speed back up, your confidence back up? What's that like?
You have to do it pretty carefully because like you're not really sure where the limits of the car are. If there is damage, then obviously the limits of the car are different. So you have to, I think that was kind of part of the process, was like slowly building up confidence in the car, because around here, like, you just don't want it to snap. You don't want to drop a tire in the grass because that'll just end your race. So I had to kind of build it up and convince myself that there was no damage. And then once I was confident of it, then again, I was just like pushing again. And, you know, I was closing up to Alex at the end. Honestly, I feel like I had pace to catch him. Yeah, that's kind of the process, and that's just kind of how the race went. But yeah, good on him. Like, you know, no mistakes. So congratulations on the win, Alex.
Gotcha. Well, you know, as we focus ahead, a couple of races left to go in this season. You're not really in the title hunt. So what are you focusing on race to race? Are you just going for wins here, or what's the play?
I'm just trying to have fun, you know, like there's no pressure, which makes it really fun to jump in and yeah, hop behind the wheel and just kind of see what happens without really stressing about it or worrying too much. So I'm just enjoying it. And I think in a lot of ways that puts me in a better headspace where I'm able to like back off, make smart decisions, because I'm not just like really focused on achieving something. So it's fun. I'm kind of enjoying it, actually.
Well, good. I would say if you're not enjoying it, it's not worth doing. But anybody you want to thank for this second place run today?
Yeah, I just want to thank Rust Racing and y'all for broadcasting the race, PRL for putting it on. It's a fun time, so thank you.
We are more than happy to do it, Stephen. That was Stephen Verity, your second place finisher here today at Donington. And now hopping on over to the booth is our third place finisher, Julio Palacio. Julio, up 5 positions on the day, walking away with the podium. This has got to feel good.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get a good qual. It was so tight, as you saw, and I just didn't get a good lap. And I knew I had pretty good race pace, so you know, I kind of struggled there. And like in the beginning, had a great battle with you know, Byron and Robert. So it was a lot of fun. I'm exhausted. This is for being such a short track and everything. It is so tiring, you know. So it was a great battle, and congrats to Alex and Steven on their P1 and P2.
Well, in terms of that, in terms of, you know, you're getting a bad qual, obviously, on a smaller track like this, it can be hard to find that open air. Does that change your mentality coming into the race itself? Do you find yourself getting more aggressive or maybe just a little bit more conservative in letting the race come to you if you know you're going to be starting down the order a little bit more?
Yeah, we you know, we did some other races earlier, like in the week, and I knew the track. It's kind of hard to go fast and stay on track, so I kind of figured in the top, you know, 5 or 6 or so, there might be a little bit of movement there. So I just tried to stay, you know, with the guys in front of me as much as I could, and you know, you're just basically hoping that someone makes a mistake and that you don't. So it's one of those things that you just got to battle and kind of see where the chips fall.
Well, speaking of where the chips fall, I think we could kind of have a similar description of Sector 2 of our next track, and that's going to be Spa-Francorchamps. How do you think that's going to go around there? Obviously, draft is going to be pretty key.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting. I remember we did the Indy Pro there, and I had a bunch of teammates with me on SRT, and this time I'm solo. So it's going to be a lot of give and take, and it's going to be interesting to see if folks kind of want to, try to stay in the draft, or if they do a lot of passing, is going to keep everything tight. So definitely looking forward to it. It's a fun track, and I think it's going to be a lot of excitement, down that long straight.
Yeah, I know. It's one of my favorite to call a race on, so I'm very much looking forward to it as well. But Julio, anybody you want to thank for this podium run here today?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammates in SRT Esports. It's a great group, and I want to thank all of you at GSRC and PRL for running a great league.
Well, thank you very much, Julio. That was Julio Palacio, your third place finisher here today. And finally, we have caught up with second in the AM category and sixth place overall, Michael Broomhead. Michael, it looked like every time I turned my head, you were involved in some kind of action. You've got to be a little exhausted after that one.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I'd say fun with the idea that it was maybe more slippery than I was anticipating. Setup wasn't perfect. Like, it was a lot of understeer. I was just sort of wrestling it around, trying to get good lap times. But yeah, that was a fun one, difficult. And yeah, I went off quite a few many times. Towards the end of the race, I was really trying to keep it on the track so I didn't get any penalties.
Well, in terms of that, I mean, what's that like stepping into the car and being like, oh, this setup's not good? How has that changed the way you do things when you come in?
Well, I noticed in qualifying it wasn't quite up to scratch. I just couldn't keep it on track, and it was just understeering. So I made a few changes and then hope for the best. Just the usual, just get into a rhythm, try to get the tires warm. I was struggling at the beginning. Everybody, obviously, their tires came in, but I guess, say 6 laps, 7 laps in, it became more comfortable, and I just try to go from there.
Well, it looked like as you were kind of, coming in and out through those battles, there was obviously that back and forth with you and I believe it was Ridgeway where you guys were kind of fighting and you were able to get by him. He was able to get by you. Was there a point when you just kind of said, okay, I've got to let him go and let this go? Or were you still just fighting that to the bitter end?
Yeah, Richards actually. Richards and I were going to be battling for this title, so I really wanted to be in front of him. Ultimately, that was kind of the thing. I just wanted to get as close to him as possible, see if I could force errors. He made a few, I made a few, and luckily I kept him in front there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun race with him. We race close and tight these days. So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best. I want this title. It's been a long time coming in PRL, so hopefully I can get it.
Well, fingers crossed for you, my friend. Anybody you want to thank for this run here today?
Of course, yeah. The Britannia boys, we always try so hard, and unfortunately the other guys didn't have a good race this time. But there's obviously Walden International School in Oakville here in Canada, Mountain Range Marketing, lisaslight.com, and of course, Mimi, the family, and you guys as well. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Michael. It is our absolute pleasure. It was Michael Broomhead, your second place in AM. And, well, folks, I lied. We actually have third place in AM here today with us in the booth. Joseph Tebben, you said before the race you were a little bit scared about this, but third overall in a great qualifying, or a third in class and a great qualifying, you got to feel good walking away from this one.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's hard not to be scared, especially with how the start of my season went. What was this, round 7? Yeah, round 7. The first 6 races has just been a cascade of terribleness, whether it was from myself or from other people hitting me. It was great. I finally got a pole position. I was like a 10th and a half up on my teammate Rob, which never happens because it was his setup especially, but I was happy about that. And then on that first lap or second lap, whenever it was, I guess I just kind of lost focus. I cut one of those, maybe turn 6 or turn 7 a little bit too much, and I got to slow down, and I was trying to cheat the system a little bit and not serve it, and by doing that, I got myself an even worse slowdown. So I lost like 5 positions in the process, and it was an uphill battle after that.
Well, in that uphill battle, I mean, you looked like you were going for it there. Were you kind of in a little bit of full attack mode after that slowdown?
Absolutely, and you could see it. I like a middle of the way through the race when I spun through the chicane, the final chicane. I thought I gave myself some floor damage or some form of damage by doing that, but no, the car was fine, luckily, and I kept it rolling, and I was going to finish 4th, but whatever happened to Christopher Richards, I don't know what happened to him. He came into the pits in the final couple laps, and by virtue of luck, I pulled out a podium finally for the first time this season.
Well, it's got to be a good feeling, man. Do you think you can carry that on next week into the fearsome Spa-Francorchamps?
Well, last season, I actually had some pretty good pace at Spa, if I remember correctly, but I got disqualified for getting too many X's. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. I'm hoping I don't spin at the bus stop again. And hopefully this is finally the turning point. I've been saying like every week that this week's going to be the turning point. This week's going to be the turning point, and hopefully this one is finally the one that it actually is.
Well, fingers crossed for you, buddy. Anybody you want to thank for this run here today?
Well, you got to thank the team. Unlike last season, I do actually have teammates who are helping me out. Robert Ridgway, you already talked to him, of course. He's stupidly fast and beats us all the time. He's holding up the fort in the championship for us. He builds the setups as well. They're always great. And my other teammate, Takeshi Kita, and our other teammates, James Carter. Can't thank him enough. He's great with tech support and setup support and driving support and moral support and all the support you could want. So everybody on the team's great. Atomic Racing, Subatomic Racing, all sorts of fun.
Well, fantastic. We are so very thankful to have you in the booth. That was Joey Tebben, your third car in the amateur division. And folks, that's about going to wrap us up here tonight on the Global Sim Racing channel. But before we go, we'd like to thank our sponsors, ASR. They build and design the sturdiest, most durable aluminum profile simulation cockpits available on the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. Also, RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it for free now at RaceLab.app, as well as the ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And SIMMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Thank you to them and all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more of her awesome work. And thank you so much to the team today, Adam, Joe, and Dougie. You can find out more about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed there on the bottom of your screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. You heard me mention it a couple of times tonight. The next race for the Formula 3 Series, that is going to be at Spa. It'll be next Thursday, November 11th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check them out, mark them down on your calendar so you don't miss a moment. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.